Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special episode of Extra Time TV. The World Cup continues. We have a lot of football to talk about. We're here at Smokey and Bunty's, where we're at different locations trying to do different things. Folks, we're here with James Baird. How are you, James?
I am very good. Really enjoyed today's football and waiting to tell all the fans all about it.
Once again, to bring some analysis, some extra analysis. Kevin, how are you today?
Great. Relieved that the Argentine fans didn't lose so that we don't get a riot.
Yes, and I probably would not have been here, folks. So we're going to kick things off with the first game, which is Tunisia versus Australia. Australia defeated Tunisia 1-0. It was one of the early games, all of us are trying to stay awake and look at all these games. We're doing our best. So just a quick look at the stats before we get into it, guys. Obviously 59% possession to Tunisia, 41% to Australia. Folks, Australia got into this World Cup defeating the South Americans, did the playoff, which was a bit of a surprise, but Australia has always been doing well. They came into the tournament, they got this victory. Guys, James, we'll start with you. What was the initial thoughts on this game?
Well, this was a very interesting game. I expected a little more from Tunisia. I mean, they tried, they've got that flair, but at the end of the day, Australia came up big with that wonderful header there. But it was a workmanlike performance from them. I thought their goalkeeper, Matt Ryan, had a fantastic game, 4 big saves, and at the end of the day, they were able to get that result, and it gives them something to build on and hopefully go forward in the competition.
Yes, and obviously, tactically, Kevin, we like to have conversations. This is something that excites Kevin, me and James. We wish we could talk to all ones, but we can't. But we'll probably do a separate podcast, so we'll sit down and break down some of the tactics as we go along, because we love that stuff, folks. So, Kevin, from a tactical perspective, you took in the game probably the better out of James and I. What do you think about both teams' approach tactically, both teams, Australia and Tunisia?
Well, I find Australia, as James said, workmanlike, very organized, very disciplined. Ever since Australia wanted to come out of the Oceania qualifying group and went into Asia, they really solidified themselves. And as you say, to beat South American opposition is not an easy feat.
Yep.
But I think that both teams were a bit blunt. I think on the ball, Tunisia were great. Combination play, quick short passes, they created the majority of the chances, but I think Tunisia lacked that out-and-out number 9 that could just put the ball in the net, and at the end of the day, that's what Australia had. Their number 9 just instinctual header and put the ball in the net, and that's what counts at these big stages.
Yes, and the goal came from Mitchell Duke in the 23rd minute, so this kind of makes things interesting. We'll talk about the overall group standings in a moment. So we're definitely going to head over to the second game. The second game was obviously between Poland and Saudi Arabia. We know how Saudi Arabia started off. They did really well against Argentina, shocking a lot of people. Maybe not the Saudi Arabians, and James and I were discussing how good the Saudi Arabian coach is. But unfortunately, they fell 2-0, with the goals. Lewandowski got the second goal as well. So guys, before we get started, 39% possession according to this for Poland. They didn't get much possession, and Saudi Arabia played really well. They missed a penalty and so on. So James, let's talk about the penalty miss. What do you think about the penalty miss, and did it affect the game?
I thought it was 2 absolutely fantastic or magnificent saves there from Chesney.
Yeah.
The first one, and then the second was even better. The fact he was able to get basically 2 hands on it, put it over the bar, and I thought he had an absolutely phenomenal game.
Yep.
I mean, he had, I think, 5 or 6 other saves in the game. He came up big, and Poland were probably able to build on his performance. They got obviously the 2 goals. They were able to get the victory, but at the end of the day, if you don't lock up shot at the back, you're not able to get that result. So wonderful performance from him. I thought the first goal for Poland was excellent as well, from Zielinski, I think it was, and they'll be delighted. It now opens up the group, makes it very difficult. Argentina, we know what happened obviously a little later on, but it makes it, everybody has to go out and win that last game. It'll make it a very interesting game between Poland and Argentina.
Yes, and as James said, this is why we love the World Cup, because nothing is going according to script. The big teams, if you want to call them that, have to be worried. The so-called small teams are no longer small anymore. Saudi Arabia was in a very euphoric mood, and now they kind of got that slap that England got yesterday. So tactically speaking, in this game, Kevin, we spoke about the possession. Shots-wise, Saudi Arabia got about 16, 5 shots on target, I think, if I'm guessing correctly, around those numbers. A lot of shots, didn't really work out for them. What do you think happened between the first game and the second game for Saudi Arabia?
Well, I think first of all, Poland's eyes would have been open from the first game that Saudi Arabia come to the party.
Yeah.
But I must say kudos to Saudi Arabia. They came out to play football. They didn't sit back. In fact, if you didn't know any better, you would think that Saudi Arabia were the favorites in the stronger team in this group, because high line, high pressing, they had the impetus, the combination play was great. I think we underestimating how good they are on the ball. I think a lot of flair, a lot of pace running at defenders, and I think Poland, they would be very delighted because I think they were a bit lucky. I think Saudi Arabia actually deserve to win this game on the whole. I think just a lack of experience from their players kind of won it for Poland. Szczesny, as we know, a fantastic goalkeeper, plays for Juventus, and to follow in Gigi Buffon's shadow, you have to be good, and he is good. And I think just that bit of experience hurt Saudi Arabia, because I saw when the number 10 stepped up to take the penalty, I saw nerves, I saw extreme nerves in him, and I told everyone at home, I say, I don't think he playing this one away. And as much as I hated it, he didn't. I would have loved Saudi Arabia to win this game, because we all know that this result heaped a lot of pressure on Argentina, but if Saudi had won, that would have been even more pressure. So, but it was a good game. I have to say kudos to Saudi.
But one point to note though, just as Kevin was speaking there, it was a mistake that allowed Lewandowski in to get the goal. I mean, I think it was Al Malki who he dwelled on the ball, and we know you don't give Lewandowski a chance like that. He's going to bury it, and I think at that point, just beforehand, Saudi Arabia were coming into the game, they were trying to get that elusive goal, they didn't get it, and as I say, Lewandowski just finished it off, and it was game set match by that point.
Correct, and you read my mind, because I was going to ask that question. Do you think that the effort that they put into the first game may have caused them a bit of a mental fatigue, Saudi Arabia, heading into this game? That's what led to a mistake like that?
It might have been a factor, but I also thought that maybe the effects of the first game gave them a bit of overconfidence. So that he dwelled on the ball thinking that he had more time, maybe are technical enough to see himself out of the situation. But not to dwell too much on stats, but if you look at Lewandowski's stats, his pressing is extremely good.
Correct.
His actions for defensive play, as they call it, that's the official term for pressing. He does a lot of actions in the final third defensively. So he's one of the most dangerous pressing forward. So I think it might have been lack of experience, maybe a bit of naiveness, but kudos to him. Again, we've seen another clinical moment being pounced on by a big player and taken. So kudos.
I mean, just to move on from what Kevin said there, I mean, I think he's, to an extent, I agree with Kevin, but I also think, like he mentioned before, the effort that Saudi Arabia put in, they actually looked like the favourites. They actually looked like the team winning at periods of the game. They were pressing. I mean, and they have some very good footballers, and this is a team that Herr Renald will be very proud of. I mean, they've got a good chance of still going through in a sense. So I don't think they'll be too disheartened, put it that way. They've got another game to go, and they've got a chance to obviously still make it.
Yes, and folks, it's very rainy outside, but did not stop the fans, as you can hear in the background, which will be very difficult because we have really cool mics. There's a lot of people buzzing around. There was a lot of Argentina fans here today, which we'll get to in a little bit. But speaking about being safe on the roads, folks, it's good that the pandemic has kind of died down a little bit. The restrictions are down, and everybody's practicing safe, hygienic practices. So it's very important that we all do this. So let's hear this, James.
So Biotech Plus is internationally certified for all clinical disinfectation and sterilisation, all infectious disease control and surgical instrument. So check out Biotech as we see there.
Alright folks, so that's a message from Biotech. They have been supplying us with their lovely sanitization product. If you want to get more information, we'll put descriptions in our various social media posts to get you to contact them. So James, that was a wonderful message from Biotech. So guys, before we move on, there's also another thing that we keep talking about. A nice little trip heading across to Tobago. James, would you like to enlighten us about this lovely trip from Venture World Travels?
Well, to all of our patrons here that come down and visit us here at Smoky and Bunty's on the Avenue, there's a chance to win this brilliant prize here from Venture World Travels. So it's 2 tickets, 2 flights, to Tobago for 2. So come down here, support us, and win the chance to obviously get that prize. It'll be given out at the 18th of December at the final. And as I say, there's much more. We have hampers, we have beers, we have so much more. So come down and check us out here on the Avenue.
Yes, so perfect, folks. So, we're going to head into the third game of the day. Obviously, the current reigning champions, France. They played Denmark. Denmark is a team I like. I know James likes them as well. We spoke about them last time. Everybody knows about the Ericsson situation. Denmark has always been traditionally very strong. Unfortunately, they fell 2-1 to France today. A lot of people speaking about how France lost, Karim Benzema and things like that. However, France got the result, and that's what matters at the end. And it usually, it doesn't really matter how you get it. It's the momentum you have heading into the group stage. So France got that 2-1 victory, guys. They had 21 shots on goal, what I'm seeing here, 10 for Denmark. It was looking like I think it was going to be 1-0, but Kylian Mbappe getting both goals. Andreas Christensen getting it for Denmark. James, that's your initial thoughts on this game.
Well, this game was a lot closer than the stats say. I mean, Denmark pushed them for a long period of the game. Obviously, wonderful performance from Mbappe again, and to be honest, he's probably been one of the players that have lit up the tournament so far. His constant running, his constant pressing, his trickery, he's been excellent. A wonderful header from Christensen,
right.
But it was a very, very good game. I thought Schmeichel had a decent game. I mean, with exception of his positioning, I think, for one of those goals, he led from the back well, but they weren't able to just do enough.
Right.
They'll be a little disappointed. Obviously, they only have one more game to pull something out, but France will be delighted. I think they're the first team to qualify already.
Yep.
So kudos to them, and we'll see how far they can go in the tournament.
Yes, Kevin. What do you think? Tactically, France, with Deschamps and so on. Denmark is also a very technically solid team. I mean, everybody talks about Ericsson, but overall, they have a strong team. Yep. They've had strong players in the past. They have very good history in international tournaments. So tell me your thoughts tactically on how Denmark approach this game. What could they have done differently?
Well, first of all, when I saw the three at the back, I was a little bit worried. Mbappe plays on the wing as well as Dembele. That's extreme pace.
Yeah.
And they could get at you down the wide areas. But I think they managed it well. I think they played quite a high line. I was a bit surprised about how high the line was, but obviously they backed themselves to recover. I thought France looked extremely dangerous going forward, but there's a leak in our defense. I think the way they defended the corner, there's some questions to be asked, and I think teams will be looking at that. But what I would say about France in the 4-2-3-1 lineup, they look very solid. I think Rabiot and Tchouameni, very good partnership. I think Rabiot more box to box, Tchouameni more holding. But what I would say is that France seem to have this extra gear that they turn on for periods of the game, like 10 minutes at a time, where they look almost unplayable. And I think most of those shots were in those little periods where they look like they could have scored 3 or 4. And I think going forward, that is what a good team has. They're able to manage the game, and that extra gear, who can handle it. Denmark would have gotten the goal through planning, because I think they knew that they could have, with Ericsson's delivery from set pieces, this is where they could have get at them. I know Schmeichel had a decent game, and I know that's one of your favorites, James, but I think he was at fault, not for one but both. I think obviously for his positioning, he gambled on a more square cross rather than a cut back for the first one.
Right.
Now, I know we could say the defense should have stepped up and blocked the shot, but I think he gambled a bit too much, and I think for the second goal, he has to come and get that.
Right.
I think Mbappe was basically under the goal. I think he has to come and claim that, be brave. But Denmark would feel a little bit gutted because they are under a little bit of pressure now, obviously. We need to mention that France broke that curse. The curse of the champions not coming out of the group.
Yep.
The first champion since 2010 to actually come out of the group, so we could forget the ghost stories.
The other interesting thing is too is that change obviously France made. They brought in Varian at the back. He obviously didn't last the whole game, but I mean, I know we said there was a little frailty, but he gave them something extra. I think he's a player who will build in fitness and maybe come big for them as the tournament goes on. And also I thought Griezmann was excellent. I thought he's very underrated in this French team, and he got down the line, he whipped in a few crosses, and as I say, it's good that these players are now coming in. They may peak, as the tournament goes on, and that's obviously good for France.
Yes, and I know I asked this yesterday because the groups are starting to take shape now. We still have a lot more football to play, but speaking about France, is it premature to now say France are looking like to break that curse of possibly being the World Cup champions back to back? You think that's going to happen? Curse breaking? They already broke one curse by making it out of the group, so What do you think?
All I will say is they've got a good chance. I think we've not. Kevin's talked about them going up a gear. I still don't think they've hit the 5th gear yet. You know, we spoke about that.
Yeah.
But I think they're definitely into 4th. And they're, I mean, I don't want to say clear favourites, but they're amongst the favourites.
Yes, yes.
So we will see how they go, but at the moment they're playing well. But let's hope there's no injuries and they're able to continue that form.
Yes, yes. So, you know, folks, you know, we'll talk about, you know, the Kevin, you wanted to add anything else?
Just to add on, James. I think you can't count out this French team, but as you say, they broke one curse. But I believe that records are there
To be broken?
but also they are there so long for a reason. So we will see. I think the draw will determine. I mean, if they avoid certain teams, I think they could possibly go all the way to the final at least. But it's a very hard thing to win 2 World Cups in a row.
Yes, yes. I know, listen, all jokes aside, all tactics, all preparation, there's also a little element of luck, that little intangible that we all know about, that you need. So, you know, we're going to head to the next game. We'll talk about the full overall group towards the end. So, you know, the next game was the one that I think probably almost gave me mental issues. Well, you know, we'll let you guys talk about it first. So obviously, Argentina took on Mexico. This was a game which shocked a lot of people that it's a do-or-die game for Argentina. The first game they lost, it was pretty much terrible that they lost that first game. Mexico is a team that always elevates. In all the last clashes, they've always been very tight games. And this continued that trend today. You know, so obviously the game was 2-0. A wonderful golazo from Messi. And Enzo Fernandez, who's a young player in the team, he's been playing well in Portugal. He had the heavy task of replacing Giovanni Lo Celso when he came on, but we'll talk about that a little more. So guys, you know, there's a lot of little dynamics here to this game because, you know, Tata Martino, former Argentina coach, he has first-hand knowledge of the team. He knows a lot of the players. The game was very pensive in the first half. James, let's hear your initial thoughts, and then you, Kevin.
Well, I think this was a very interesting game again because I don't think Mexico were as bad as the scoreline suggests. I thought for 50-60 minutes of the game they were very, very good. I thought that they pressed Argentina for long periods of the game. To me, they were the better team in the first half. You know, I think obviously Martinez had a wonderful free kick save. They looked dangerous, but I was a little surprised at some of Martinez's changes. Obviously, he took out I think it was Alaves from Ajax, obviously, in the midfield there, changed him. I thought he waited a little long and then he took off. Was it Vega? Yeah, so I thought Vega had a very good game. He was causing havoc amongst the Argentine defence. Yeah. And then, obviously, those 2 goals were absolutely fantastic. Obviously, Messi, as you said, and Fernandez. But it was a good result for Argentina. I feel for Mexico, but I think they still have something in the tank to maybe pull a result off and obviously qualify for the next rounds.
Yes, yes. So, you know, Kevin, you know, we love the tactics. This is why we love this game, folks. In fact, we're going to have a separate show as well. I mentioned it before. Strictly tactics. We'll have fun. We'll just knock ourselves out with a whiteboard. So, you know, strategically, Argentina, in this particular game, they laid out a kind of 4-4-2 formation. But let's talk about the possession real quick. So obviously it was 59% to 41. It's pretty close. It's always close, folks. I've never seen a Mexico-Argentina game that's been not close. And, you know, obviously formation-wise, you know, Scaloni played 4-4-2. And Tata Martino plays that pressing style of football that he's known for. So, you know, it obviously caused Argentina a lot of trouble in the first half. Anybody who knows Tata Martino knows that's the kind of football he's going to play. He has knowledge of the team and a lot of the players. How did you think that approach worked for them? And what do you think of that? Was that approach not sustainable and eventually they burnt out towards the end? What do you think?
Well, I thought that the 5 at the back was a bit of a double bluff.
Yeah.
I think that he named 5 at the back to kind of show the world that maybe we're going to defend.
Yeah.
But that line was very high.
Yeah.
They pressed very, very high and very, very well, as James said, in the first half.
Yeah.
I thought that maybe they could have gone for the jugular a bit earlier because I think the nerves were with Argentina maybe in the first 25 minutes at least, and rightfully so. But
yeah, keep it.
Right. So I thought that Mexico, the plan worked at T, but what I would say is that big players are big players for a reason because I think for the first time in the game that Mexican line dropped into the penalty area.
Correct.
And they didn't press Messi at the top of the box, he punished him.
Yep.
And I think that's what star players do. It's a bit unfortunate for Mexico. I thought that yes, I was disappointed with Tata's changes. I thought taking off Lozano and Vega was a mistake because those were the two most the fastest players and causing, as James said, that backline all sorts of trouble. I thought that Scolari's, his changes was excellent.
Yeah, Scolari, go ahead.
Yeah, because you know Fernandez usually plays wide for Benfica. I think he plays for.
Yeah.
But he brought him in the midfield, and I think that was because the lines were so narrow. He wanted somebody to break lines dribbling.
Correct.
And I think that because they were doubling up on Messi and tripling up on Messi, he wasn't able to do it. So, well, if two guys on you, I have two guys free. So I think that's, and Fernandez, I mean, that finish was excellent technically.
Yeah.
So I think they did burn out because we know Tata is a big fan of Bielsa.
Yeah.
And Bielsa teams tend to burn out at the end of games and the end of seasons, and I think we saw it. For the first time I saw a Mexican team that looked tired.
Yeah.
And I thought not bringing on Funes Mori, I thought, you know, he would have something to prove being born in Argentina.
Yeah.
He might have wanted to prove something that maybe I could make this Argentina team.
Yeah.
So I think the coaches won the game, or lost the game at the end.
No, the only thing I would say, I mean, I totally agree with what Kev said, but I thought, as I say, despite the result, that midfield three for long periods of the game kept Messi quiet. You know, usually he would drop into that pocket, get the ball on his left, and have that shot. And with the exception of the goal, I thought for long periods of the game they were able to keep him redundant. You know, but it was a wonderful finish from Messi, a wonderful finish from Fernandez, and your team Argentina, they have a big chance. You know, it'll come down to that last game against Poland. It'll be interesting to see if Lewandowski can put a spanner in the works, you know, and send Argentina home.
Yeah.
But there's lots of different mathematical ways things could go, and that's the beauty of the World Cup.
Yep, you know, Kevin.
Well, no, I'll just, as James said, mathematically now, if Poland hold Argentina to a draw, Mexico beat Saudi Arabia, it goes down, Poland will qualify, and it goes down to goal difference between Mexico and Argentina. And I thought that clean sheet will be very, very big if the results go that way, because you know Mexico hasn't scored any tournament yet, and I think that would be a big talking point in Mexico because they tend to be a very attacking, prolific team. So I think that the lack of that edge might cost them.
Yes, and you know, just to go back on some of the tactics before we move on, you made a very interesting point. In the first half, you know, the midfield trio usually for Argentina is De Paul, Paredes, and Lo Celso. Obviously, Lo Celso was injured. He played Guido Rodriguez, and he played also De Paul, and then McAllister. What I did notice, and I think that's what probably kept Mexico in the game, Mexico's ability to press those guys. They were not able to get, De Paul is a very crucial figure for Argentina, and they've had that understanding for a long time. So McAllister, I think, did well. He was solid. However, they weren't able to get through those lines, as you said. And I think from the moment Scaloni started to introduce that, if Martino was able to kind of continue to stifle that area, they would have been able to maybe stifle Argentina a little bit. But kudos to Scaloni as well. Enzo Perez is a player, he had big shoes to fill, as I said at the beginning. Lo Celso is a player that has that balance of offense and defense. There's a statistic that shows, I can't remember the number, that he supplies a lot of balls to Messi and he makes Messi freer. And we saw Enzo kind of did that. And also, just before we move to the table, you could have seen the nerves of this Argentinian team in the first week. They were very safe. At some points, it looked like they had no intention of overlapping or attacking. And I think that has a lot to do with the first game. I think they were shocked. And I think they needed to kind of try to let's not concede a goal. And then when they scored that goal from Messi with the substitutions, I think it kind of freed them up. So the reason why I built up to that whole thing, I'll ask two of you all. After the first loss, and after this very dicey game, do you think this is a game that gives Argentina the momentum to move on from the group, facing Poland?
I still think it'll be very difficult because that game is going to be a real chess match. I mean, I know it's a cliche thing to say, but at the end of the day, I think for at least the first 20 minutes, it's going to be very tight. I mean, obviously, it'll open up as the game goes on, but obviously, both teams have a big player there, and those players will not be wanting to go home. So I can't wait for that game. It's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see you sweat a little bit because I know you're going to be sitting there, maybe crying, maybe smiling. We'll see.
Yes, and I have the ability to turn my fanboy face off into analyst mode. Analyst mode is on right now. So Kevin, any final thoughts before we talk about the tables?
Well, I think as James said, that Poland game will be like a chess match. I don't think either team will go for it, but we all know that Argentina can't necessarily risk the draw. So at some point Argentina will have to go for it, and I think as we talk about big players, Lewandowski,
He's a class player, top quality.
Yeah, he feeds on scraps at times. As he did in the Saudi Arabia game, you know, his only chance.
Yep.
So I think Argentina will also be wary of that.
Yes.
I are going for a score draw, and I think it will be tight. To call it coming out of the groups or.
Well, I mean, let's talk about the group
Yeah,
first
no
before we
problem.
say that. So, you know, let's take a quick look at Group C just to end things off. So, basically, in Group C, there's Poland with 4 points, Argentina with 3, Saudi Arabia with 3, and Mexico at the bottom of the table with 1. All 4 teams have 1 game left. So, it's pretty tight heading into it. There's a nice combination of scenarios that could end up favorably for the top 3 teams. So, you know, what do you think will be the final outcome? Who's the final 2 teams are going to go through?
Well, I'm going to go out right and say I think the final 2 will be Saudi Arabia and Argentina. I'm going to go out the box. I think Saudi Arabia have been fantastic, and I don't really want them to go home so it's a little bit maybe a wish there, but I think those 2 teams will turn it on in the last game and just pip the other 2.
Now, Kevin, what do you think?
It's a tough one. Tough.
It is tough.
I'll play it safe and I say that Poland and Argentina come out of the group.
All right.
But I think Poland win the group.
Yes.
And what about you, Andre?
Well, obviously, I think it's going to be very difficult. I'm trying to put on my unbiased face now. I think it's going to be very difficult, but I think Argentina will make it out. It won't be easy at all. And I actually think Saudi Arabia may sneak in. I think they've been playing really good football. I think they have what it takes to hurt Mexico. Mexico play a similar style to Argentina. So, you know, we've seen what they did to Argentina team. Mexico put a lot of energy into this game. So maybe that fatigue may benefit Saudi Arabia. So that's my guess. Folks, you can let us know what you think in the comment sections below. What do you think on all the various social media forums, Instagram, the Smokey and Bunty's page, which is where we are right now. Lots of places because we have prizes to give out, the trips, some hampers, stuff like that. Look at our other videos. Lots of things. So guys, let's talk about the other group. So Group B, you know, France is on top, obviously, with 6 points. Australia with 3 points, which is shocking a lot of people. Denmark 1, Tunisia 1. So guys, you know, France, you know, physically assured through. Denmark looked like they were going to kind of be on top of the group, but it's kind of dicey. And Australia, can Australia nip in and, you know, get to the next round? What do you think?
I'm going to let Kev go first for this one.
As we say, Australia very workmanlike, very organized, very disciplined. But I think Denmark have tentatively a little too much talent for them. I think Denmark will get the better of them just. I think it might be a 1-0 or 2-1, something close. And I think Denmark come on the group. I think France take care of Tunisia. And France top the group, Denmark coming out.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the case. I think Denmark has enough quality with Ericsson James. What do you think?
Well, obviously we know the Blue have already obviously qualified. I think Denmark will be there as well. I mean, I think there's too much quality. I mean, Australia have done a good job obviously in this game, weren't so good in the first game, and I think that result in the first game may come back and bite them in the backside and obviously send Denmark through.
So, you know, let us know what you think in the comment section, folks. The tournament is taking shape now. We're starting to see what's going on. There's a lot of upsets and crazy results. Nothing is set, so you can't rely on stereotypes like the old days. You can't say, oh, well, those teams are surely going to make it. I mean, we know France is through, whatever. So, you know, we're going to end things up, but James has a specialty that he always does. Are you going to tell us about the games tomorrow? What do you think?
Yes, well, we have 4 wonderful games again tomorrow. So we have 6 a.m. We have Japan versus Costa Rica. 9 a.m. Belgium against Morocco, and then 12 o'clock Croatia versus Canada, and that 3 o'clock game Germany versus Spain, the big one.
Yes. So folks, we have a lot of games. We'll be right back here. You know, it's very gloomy, but it did not stop the fans from coming out. We all huddled together with the passion. You know, these guys were waiting to probably laugh at me a while ago. I'm going to go home and rest and recover because I was stressed out during that game. But once again, guys, it's been a pleasure to continue doing this. We'll be doing some more tomorrow. Kevin will be joining us from time to time, and we'll be doing a lot of analysis and maybe some separate shows in the off days when we get to the knockout stage. So once again, folks, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, you know, and pay attention because we're also on some TV stations as well, in addition to being on YouTube as well and streaming. James, you can tell us about the TV stations as well.
Yeah, obviously we're streaming and obviously on YouTube as we say, but we're also on Q&N in Suriname, our friends over there, and we're also on METV here in Trinidad and Tobago. So also tune in on Flow. Did you sell whatever you have? They have a nice app there you can get as well, so make sure if you don't have, you can subscribe to that. And as I say, make sure you tune in to the greatest show on air.
Yes.
Yeah.